Hi guys, Mama K again. Right, so self-esteem, codependency, what is my value, and why am I still settling for a job that has a job description and I have to fit into that job description? I may be a creative, but I have to limit my creativity within the framework that I've been given. I have parameters. So when I'm employed, I have to work within those boundaries that have been given to me. Now, for some of us, that hinders us. You get a paycheck and you think, well, I worked well beyond my capacity, or I worked 20 hours, or I worked an extra 10 hours. I took work at home, but why do I feel so devalued at the end of the month when I look at my paycheck and I think, hey, this isn't really working because I'm still struggling, but I am working so hard, but why are we still struggling? You then decide to supplement your income with another source of income, and you find that you then have zero or no time left to be with your family. Why do we keep this up? Why are we keeping up with this kind of living? Why are we not taking the rein in our hands and setting an exchange value for who we are, what we do, and working on our own terms? What's stopping us? Some of us have been thinking about this and thinking and thinking and thinking, and that thinking turns into procrastination. And procrastination, as we know, stems from a fear of rejection, a fear of acceptance, a lack of confidence, a low self-esteem. It is all there, which is what stops us from taking that step. We are so accustomed to being told what to do or having somebody bring that framework for us, because it is really difficult for some of us to gather the courage or even take a piece of paper and write down, what is my framework, what is my value, what's my business strategy, how am I going to go ahead with this? And seeing this, it's like having a pile of mess that is never ending and you just don't want to deal with it because you don't know where to start. So for us, a lot of the problem comes from that fear of taking that first step or not being able to take that first step. How do we take that first step, and why is money attached to our values so much? Because when we have a really low sense of self, and when we are so scared, or when we have developed a fear of authority, it is easier for us to succumb to that authority and to just keep it going, not because we're happy with that status quo, but because we just don't know how. We don't know how to take that first step. So here's how you take that first step. You take it. There is don't wait for you to be forced into that situation. You have that. If you're feeling restless, if you're feeling like you have a lot of energy, and if you're feeling like you have a lot of anger maybe, but you just don't know how to fuel, you just don't know how to channel that fuel that you have inside of yourself, that's when you know it's time to move on. It's time for you to take that first step into yourself. And taking that first step literally does just mean taking that step. You take that step. So if you have a business idea, write it down, go and speak to somebody about it, but do something to bring that idea to fruition, whether it means talking to your bank advisor, whether it means setting up some sort of a website, or maybe speaking to neighbors, speaking to friends. Start networking, start socializing, start putting yourself out there. The only way you're going to overcome that fear is to face that fear right face to face. Just go for it. What's keeping you in that? We fear rejection. We fear rejection, which keeps our sense of self so fragile. It keeps our self-esteem so low. And again, that self-esteem, you walk to the source of that self-esteem. Heal that self-esteem by reminding yourself, every day of just how much you mean and add value, first of all, to yourself. What have you got about yourself? And self-esteem doesn't come from how you look, how you present yourself. It is how you esteem yourself. What is my value to myself right now? And how do I want to be perceived is how I perceive myself. And when you're feeling a little bit of resentment because you see your peers or people that you know who are earning much more than you are, and you know that you ought to be earning some more, then that is your calling card. Go and do something about it. Either you set something up of your own, or you go and talk to somebody, but the idea is for you to channel that, to give that idea fuel. Go and channel it. Channel your intuitive creativity, because it is there. It is right next to you, inside of you, all around you. Just look around and see and find that innate creativity that is just there. Get in touch with me. Let's talk about how to heal this. But more than getting in touch with me or anybody else, get in touch with yourself, because when you get in touch with yourself and you have full power of you, and you know that this is what I want to do, this is how I add value, and this is my purpose, you will go and just do it. There'll be no procrastination. Once you take that first step, there'll be no procrastination. You need somebody to inspire you. You need something to inspire you. Walk out the door, look at the birds, do anything and everything it takes that will make you feel empowered in a way that will expand your consciousness, that is all expanding, all uniting. It's not dividing. It's something that brings you together. Being a wallflower doesn't pay the bills. Being a wallflower doesn't cure your self-esteem. Shying away from everybody is not going to help you. And one next step there is, when you feel that, right, I cannot do this myself, that's when you reach out for help. You reach out for help, and usually just that one step of saying, I just don't know where to start. I just don't know where to start. It's like coming back from holiday, having lots of suitcases to unpack, and it's not just the unpacking, but actually putting things back. If you have a toddler, and if you have a little child who never wants to put their toys away, that task of having to organize those toys as you go, you'll find a lot of even books written. There's so much literature out there just about how to organize, how to declutter. So we want to declutter our inner space. How do we declutter our inner space? How do we change our value? Why we settle for that paycheck at the end of the month, why we settle for something, or we just settle, is because we have no confidence in our value. We don't know our value. We want to compare. We want to see how others are doing it. We put so much emphasis on how others receive us that we forget that we are full of value. We are full of love. We are full of life. If only you can enliven yourself and see that the life was already there. But life remains static when we are stagnant. So we've got to bring that flow. Get a water fountain, get a small water feature, and just watch the water flow. That might also help. As always, remember, you are your value. You define your values. You define your truth. You are not defined by somebody else. You are not at the behest of how you are perceived. And your paycheck or how much money you have doesn't say that this is what you're valued at. You're not a share. You're not stock. You're not bonds. You're not being traded in a market. So let not somebody else's value system be yours. Similarly, do not buy into somebody else's belief system, because you create your own belief system and you can choose to have one or not. It is entirely up to you. Before we even get to how we want to be, is to first remove all that we don't want to be, and all of those associations that were never us, that are not ours, including that how much I earn and how successful somebody else is depends on how much money they have, because we know that's not the case. You can have all the money in the world and still not be happy. Do you want to be that person? Would you rather have yourself and be happy and attract everything that comes to you? You don't have to settle for what you're getting. You don't have to settle for that. You set the value on what it is that you'd like to receive, not anybody else. And we take it from there. So what's your value? Start talking to yourself. Lots of love, lots of blessings. Mama Key.